presence early. Both of these are
Okay. Are there any more? All right, we'll watch this.
decks that care a lot about board presence. They're not necessarily what I would consider true aggro or an aggressive deck where you need to go all out every turn, but you are trying to get presence and then maximize it as much as possible. And when I say maximize, it could be with the might that you're developing or with the tricks. Kha'Zix, being a chaos domain legend, does have...
I like
Kha'Zix.
Kha'Zix.
We'll see if that is a difference maker.
That's the sad
We do
part.
see that Mr. Root coming out for June. We talked about that and the XP that it can gain. As we go back over to Filth, conquering with the Pit Rookie at Emperor's Dais does use that conquer ability, paying the 1 energy, bouncing back the Pit Rookie to hand and getting a Sand Soldier on Emperor's Dais, and the Pit Rookie will be replayed to buff that Sand Soldier. That's a 3 might unit at that northern battlefield as we go back over to June.
Yeah, and this is a nice development because it's essentially drawing a card for Filth because you are developing that Sand Soldier, getting the Pit Rookie back, and then replaying it, and in doing so, you're getting an additional unit from the Pit Rookie. It's like if you developed a 3 might unit that you just drew off the top.
I think
yes,
last game
you essentially
we watched, he should have utilized the Sand Soldier.
Continue developing that might like I talked about.
Speaking of clunky hands, if June has one going into Zon Warrens here, conquering up to 1 point.
Whoa.
Use that Zon Warrens trigger to cycle through the hand.
All right, and maybe had a slight glitch, but we will consider this just an amazing replay opportunity.
Yeah. We'll see the great Pit Rookie play once again here.
Okay.
Keep in mind with that Rengar Pridestalker, every time that Filth play a unit +1 might for the turn.
And that is something that it might not seem like a big deal early on, but when you are using the signature spell, for example, again, because that plays the unit, it does also trigger the static legend ability. There are also a number of ambush options, and so when you play an ambush Stalker legend,
In the back, much experience.
and Filth have ways to get it back like Fizz. June is okay with getting rid of it. Either they're
next to base,
flooded or clunky, or they have ways to get it back like Fizz.
That's absolutely right. Fizz plus Starcross so good together. The 2 XP spent with the Kha'Zix legend to move Mr. Root back to base, and Vex Apathetic developed for June as Filth holding up to 2 points in the opening game, continuing to currently hold on to point tempo. Now we see the Kinko initiate, and this will draw a card. There is 5 might, or at least 5 might between the other units.
My favorite cards. My favorite cards is set.
As well, so exactly what you want to be doing if you're Filth. You want to develop might, keep your hand full of options. On the other side, when the showdown begins, Filth going to the Zon Warrens, June has the option to play a stacked deck at action speed, even though there are no units.
3 look.
So just getting some hand filtering in.
Zon Warrens allowing some good hand filtering for both players as Filth does conquer up to 3.
Discarded Kaiser, interesting.
And that Sand Soldier will move back into base. Filth passing back over to June.
Yeah, and the Kaiser discard here makes sense. Even though that's an incredibly powerful card, Filth has been doing a good job of maintaining the hand resources between the bounce with the Dais earlier, the draw off the Kinko. So this is a situation where the Kaiser is just kind of like win more, and unless you really thought you needed that accelerate play from hand later, getting rid of 1 here is fine.
Now we'll see how June pushes forward. Mr. Root on the back line still able to generate that XP. We're going to start with Sabotage. June will take a look at Filth's hand. See what
oh boy.
Yeah, this
Quite
is...
the hand here.
and, there is also a Thrill of the Hunt in there.
The Kaiser, Pike, Thrill.
Obviously want to get rid of Punch First.
Double Punch First.
Incredibly powerful card, but since there is 2 of them as well, if you get rid of 1, they're still going to have the other one, and the likelihood of them playing 2 in a short period is pretty low because of the intense power costs. In fact,
It's great if you get rid of the Punch First.
At some point in the future, going to channel
it's not that big of a deal.
However, Thrill of the Hunt,
because you still get your,
so much for your deck.
energy generation.
It can save units, it does so much, so I feel like if I'm in June's shoes, I'm taking a long look at that signature spell.
Could not agree more. I think that is extremely scary.
Now,
could just thrilled onto the dais.
Because if you have something like an additional Starcross, we saw the 1 be discarded, perhaps that was bait, and there is another one. Oh, I got to see a little bit of it there. I saw Void Assault, and, some other options. But if you have a situation where you are expecting your opponent to like double up on a Punch First, then you could get a blowout play. But it does actually decide to take 1 of the Punch Firsts.
Okay, so getting rid of 1 of the pump spells. As June looks to move in with Vex to Emperor's Dais, and that will score June a second point, 3-2 in favor of Filth currently.
Yeah, and the Vex being on a battlefield is a very big deal into Rengar because that means the ambush units are now stunned. This also could be another reason why you opted to get rid of a Punch First, because the Thrill of the Hunt, as good as it is, when you replay the unit from it, if that Vex is on a battlefield, that would also enter stunned. That being said, you have to assume that Filth knows Vex is coming. This Vex has been a staple since the...
And he gets the 2 experience.
If you're not expecting to run into it, you're going to have problems. You need to have answers. So we'll see what the proposed answer is here.
And now we see June running in with the Mr. Root, getting that 2 XP. And ambushing out the chosen champion, the mutating Horror, getting that additional 2 might and another 2 XP. And when you win a combat, the legend gives you another XP, so that's 5 XP now, as Jhin conquers up to 3.
And on the filter, earlier I had mentioned, hey, maybe they discarded the Star-Crossed because they had another. Well, it turns out they did, and now they've discarded that to the Zone Warren's trigger as well.
Definitely playing into the fizz here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Production has given me some fantastic mathematical notes, and the one that jumps out to me for Jhin in particular is that Fizz overperforms by 13.4% with your match wins, meaning when you see it, when you find it, you are 13% more likely to win a game, and it's exactly for reasons like this. Look at the plethora of options that are in Jhin's trash between the Star-Crossed and the stack deck if you want a hand filter. It's just such a versatile card while also developing the might, but here we're going to see Kha'Zix activate and save the Kha'Zix champion unit so that it can live to fight another day.
Yeah, keeping Vex apathetic on the battlefield to keep that ability turned on. And all of these units that Filth plays while Vex is at that battlefield will be stunned. As Filth starts the turn. Still has the buffed up Sand Soldier. The Kinko Initiate in the back line. 2 runes open for Jhin.
Sentry, Rengar trigger to Sand Soldier. Thank you.
All right. Got to hear the players talk about it there.
Sentry,
Playing the Sentry to use that legend ability, get the 1 might trigger from a Rengar Pridestalker, putting those on the Sand Soldier, and now walking this in. Again, Jhin knows that there's a punch first on the other side.
That gives +1.
Now here comes Grim Resolve from Jhin. +3 might for Vex. So 7 to 5 now the might totals in favor of Jhin. But there comes the punch first that we did know about. Ramping a couple runes here. And that is going to go over the top for Filth. Filth conquering Emperor's Deus. Vex killed in combat.
No, I wouldn't have played it like that at all. I would have sent in the Kinku.
Thought process here is that you got rid of 1 punch first with the Sabotage. You know they have the second. The faster you can force them to use it, then you just don't have to worry about it as much going forward. Only 1 likely left in the deck at that point. Some lists are not even.
I would have sent the Kinku in there buffed up.
Having the 3. That being said, it is nice to see 2
and then
and kind of forcing those
did the
resources.
punch first.
Downside to that is,
Because you could have
after that conquer with
Kinku'd,
on Warrens, so they have
and then if they used
battlefield presence and just a superior board presence overall, just the
+3
unit in the base
ability.
So, Jhin's gonna have to figure out a way to
Spell.
Not just keep pace with points.
You,
but also start to deal
it's
with
the
some
same
board
result.
presence
You're,
developed by Filth because you're behind a
I
bit.
don't know why you did that.
So
That's
that might be
because you
on
can
the
bounce it
you
with
could go
the.
win 1 combat
I mean, look at this.
against the Kinku potentially, and then also use that to pull a unit and try to win another combat, or just move your unit over there. But to
No.
stacking before any sort of skirmish begins.
So that Kha'Zix 5 might going into the battlefield, but that trigger. When Kha'Zix attacks or defends, if there's an enemy unit alone there, you get that additional +2 might and the 2 XP. So Kha'Zix
Then you could have played it.
taking care of the unit at Zon Warren's. Jhin conquering up to 4. 5-4. Point tempo still in favor of Filth. Jhin trying to figure out how to swing the momentum. Keep in mind, we do have a hit.
That's terrible.
At Emperor's Deus for Filth, and we know that the Pike could be looming here.
Could have did it the other way around, because now you lost your Kinku.
Yeah, and the
Being
Pike
discarded.
The Pike is a pretty big deal here because the Kha'Zix wants to find units that are alone. And the Pike can mess up that math because of the reaction speed. Because it is hidden, it can pop out in response to the trigger and kind of mess things up. So instead, it looks like Jhin is just going to develop this Vex and maybe play some defense.
You go deep.
Okay, so we're going to actually play that Void Assault.
Mhm.
I did not realize that the second one had been picked up. I saw the one discarded from the Zon Warren's trigger, but we're going to play the Void Assault. This moves a unit and then allows you to move one of your opponent's units as well.
Yeah, Void Assault's so good. Very similar to Charm and Ride the Wind in 1 card.
So
Trying to move a sentry here.
oh, interesting. I was going to say there was an opportunity to potentially send the Sand Soldier over to the Vex and essentially start 2 combats at once. We're still going to be starting 2 combats, but trying to get
Yeah,
rid of the Sentry.
Pike.
So we're starting here? Yeah. So
The Kha'Zix at Emperor's
Why
Deus.
didn't you
There
flip
is
the Pike first?
The Kha'Zix at 9 might currently.
thank you. So this Rengar trigger, just make it simple. So 5, 6, 7, 8 versus 9.
Yeah, Jhin still has the advantage here by 1 might.
If
at
you
this battlefield.
you could have flipped it in response
To
to
push in a unit from the hand of Filth, but the problem is that Vex on the other side. Yeah, so what this will do, yeah, I was gonna say, what this will do, however, is it should trigger the Pridestalker, which would allow for 1 more might to go on the other units. So even though Inferna would be stunned, there should still be enough to
shame.
force this trade and repel the Kha'Zix.
These two. These two? Yeah. Alright.
Yeah, very strong play here.
I scored 5, got an XP. And then this
Now-
one's recalled. Why'd you score 5? Everything is stunned. Stunned, okay.
Yeah, so the Pike, the Pike and the Inferno should have both been stunned because of the Vex. So, but I was gonna say,
And she got stunned by Vex. Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah, I was gonna. There again. I was gonna say this should result in a repelled Kha'Zix.
Right, not enough might for Kha'Zix to get over.
I'm at 4, you at 5, right? How big was your Kha'Zix? 9. 9? I had 10. One, it was like a little.
I don't even want to watch this anymore. I'm gonna play.
Oh, true. The
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
we
We
got
could have.
it figured out.
Let's see. Where are we at? We're at.
Vex showing up here.
This also could be another reason why you opted to get rid of that. Would have been
Two and
another
only
command
Let's take.
things off here. We're just
an enemy unit alone there. You get that additive
All right.
gonna
First thing you should have did
Vex might
right here
for June. The gun.
is, so this is a 3 might and this is 3 might. He should have sent in the Kinku initiate right in here.
As Phil starts the turn. Still has a buffed up
Because
Sand.
he's gonna play.
Rengar trigger.
to
He should have put this 2 might on here and sent this in. Because he's already gonna send in.
Pridestalker, putting those on.
He's already gonna have to commit the punch first, likely.
Again, June knows that.
Because then he could have bounced this back and then replayed the Kinku.
Plus 3 might for Vex.
And then got another Sand Soldier, still have a Sand Soldier in the
Here
back,
comes the punch first that we did know about.
and have a 3 might in the back.
Here.
And then he's gonna play the Vex.
Speed, because it is hidden, it can pop out in response to the trigger
So you know what he wants to do, right?
and kind of mess things up. So instead, it looks like June is just going to develop his Vex and maybe play some defense.
So this one he has to pick his targets, right? So you flip the pike now. So he's at +2.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're going to actually play that Void Assault. I did not realize that the second
And then
I saw the one discarded from the Zon Warren's trigger, but we're going to play the Void
we
Assault.
flip this now. So this one has 2 units here.
Your opponent's units as well.
My Kha'Zix here. Moving the Kha'Zix here.
That voice sounds so good. Very similar to a charm.
And then
Win in 1 card.
So
now that he's got
oh, interesting.
everything
Okay, there
picked.
was a-
So now you flip it. You say, okay, well, full priority. What's your targets? I'll flip this.
combats at once.
It'll prevent him from going to 9.
Sentry.
So we're starting here. Yeah.
He'll just be a 7 to the 8, and he'll still get pushed back.
Is the pike. The Kha'Zix at 9 might currently.
Thank you.
It's
And Rengar trigger, just make it simple.
it's
5, 6, 7, 8 versus 9.
he's gonna play the Inferno.
1 might at this battlefield.
See, and this cost him so much.
Here to
It cost him so much.
from the hand of Filth, but the problem to others. What the trigger the Pridestalker, which would allow for 1 more might to go on the other.
Ah, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
As I had mentioned, we do also.
A ma-
So that means that Filth is either going to have to crash into the of Filth's hand. Gust can certainly be annoying, like I said before.
adaptability from Kha'Zix here. The XP spent to buff Vex, and here comes
With Void Assault,
to
top with done.
I got lost.
You're going to be able to survive an attack from the Sentry. Have your Vex on a balance.
now.
Yeah, going into this turn, like I said, June needed to catch up with what was developed on the board and try to keep pace on points. I would say, even though you didn't match the points, you still accomplished a lot because now your board presence is significantly better. You know that 2 punch firsts are gone. You have your Vex on a battlefield, so unless they have a 3rd punch first, that is likely going to be able to survive an attack from the Sentry. So while Filth does go up to 6 here, which is a very important number because that allows for a potential future double conquer, etc., it was still overall, I think, a quality turn from June to try to claw back into this.
Yeah, the Inferno coming back for Filth. Potentially trying to set up a possible double conquer on the following turn. Filth at 6 points now. And keep in mind that chosen champion, Rengar Trophy Hunter, yet to be deployed here for Filth.
Interesting.
Holding to
So,
25.
I mean, you are correct. I do think that Rengar does likely need to be developed at some point, but by not playing it during your turn, if that Vex is still on a battlefield, even if you play it as an ambush, it's going to get stunned. So
right.
I would have liked from Filth there to see some additional might developed in base and then go over the top with tricks of some sort in the future. This, again, might signal a bit
That
of
Kha'Zix is like a second Rengar.
but since then, there's been quite a few cards drawn, so some unknown information.
Now June holding up to 5, and we see some of that adaptability from Kha'Zix here. The XP spent to buff Vex, and here comes Void Assault.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is kind of brutal because Inferno will not get the Assault trigger. With Void Assault, even though you're moving your unit and theirs technically arrives first and they get designated as the Defender. So Kha'Zix gets the +2 for attacking in, and the Inferno does not trigger the Assault.
And all he has to do is sit now.
Generated for June here, up to 6 points. We are all tied up, and now it's just the determined Sentry in the backline for Filth.
Ignore the trigger here. Yeah. Can I respond to it? Because I didn't know that. I don't think
So asking the judge about the Emperor's Deus trigger. And Filth wanted an opportunity to respond. You have to assume that the desire was to
This is
respond,
so rough.
again, maybe trying to play that Rengar.
11-11, guys. Make a wish.
If it survives and then recalls, you'd then still
11-11.
besides the sentry to start this turn. But unfortunately, Filth just has the sentry, and with that Vex on the battlefield, this is going to be a tall order to get into either location, and you have to get into at least one because this is a threatening win with a double hold from June at the moment.
Yeah, very tough spot. Great turn for June. Filth essentially burning all the runes there. Just did not use any of those runes on the last turn. Didn't have the window to potentially play the Rengar. Now we see the Rengar Trophy Hunter coming out, but June holds to 8. And Filth did not realize the score here.
Oh, yeah. See, he's not paying
There
attention.
we go.
That explains why
How?
Filth
Yep, that
has
does
the
explain
previous turn. He had June at 5 points instead of 6, so did not realize the urgency.
Yep.
Was just double Thrill of the Hunt in the hand, so we were talking earlier about, more cards had been
Wow.
so we had that unknown information. Turns out, other than the Chosen Champion, there was nothing else to develop anyway, and the Thrill of the Hunt is basically useless with that purple Vex on a battlefield.
We really saw the power of Vex Apathetic right there, and it's just so good against the ambush units and against Rengar in particular, because Rengar, one of the best units to come out of Unleashed, but if Vex is parked at the battlefield and you don't have a way to get her off, it is tough.
Yeah, this is, again, it's one of those things that you expect since Unleashed came out. You have to have some sort of game plan for Vex Apathetic. That being said, I think the big story there was that Filth just had the wrong, point count in mind because there was far less sense of urgency. Now, here, this is interesting. This is exactly where June wants to be playing with the lead, but also you've got that Forbidding Waste. So if you can get something like an Irresistible Fey Folk early, if Filth has played a unit like they have, yep, there's the Fey Folk. So now you either have to answer it somehow in the backline or just kind of understand that you're likely losing a unit because that combines so well with the Waste.
Incredibly good here. Filth once again starting things out. Star Spring and Forbidding Waste, the 2 battlefields in game number 2 here in the round 1 feature match of our Hartford regional qualifier. Inferno moving into Star Spring, and we will see a stacked deck from June in response here.
So Inferno will get the Conquer on the Star Spring. There's no other effects
Doggy
that
care
June will
time.
have here with 0 energy available. Stack deck choices made. But again, because Fey Folk can move units, unless Filth leaves up some energy, up some resources for a trick, whether that's, a punch first or even just like a Thrill of the Hunt, etc., that's likely going to be eaten. And we're going to see a Sabotage now,
He's got
and a healthy number of options for Filth to choose from.
Yeah, you've got the signature spell, that Void Assault, Grim Resolve, and Gust for June, paired with the Vex unit once again. Just noting the cards here. What are your thoughts on this one, Trevor?
So this one is interesting. I think it kind of depends on the rest of Filth's hand. Gust can certainly be annoying. Like I said before, you can use that to set up the
Gust's super good, though.
a unit by pairing it with another for the purple Kha'Zix. Gust can set that up. Yeah, and I was going to say, and so if you've got a number of units in your hand that are targetable by Gust, I think that's like the go-to option. If you are not worried about the Gust, I think Void Assault is the next best one, unless you're trying to deny the XP. But Kha'Zix is so good at generating experience points anyway that I feel like just playing around the +3 might from hand is fine, whereas the Void Assault creates additional problems because if you are trying to hide something in the backline, it can draw it in like we saw in game 1.
I think actually this is probably a really horrible matchup for Rengar, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You have to play very tightly.
Leave up that energy for potentially an answer to the Fey Folk.
Yeah, we could see some interaction here. The Fey Folk will certainly look to try and take down Inferno at the Forbidding Waste. That Fey Folk, quite irresistible.
It absolutely is. Now, if you're June, you have to say to yourself, what am I potentially playing around here? Punch first is not an option because there's only one body rune. And the Forbidding Waste with the Fey Folk is still enough to take out this Inferno because, again, the way that the movement stuff works, the Fey Folk, if it pulled over to the Waste, would still trigger Inferno as the defender. But instead, just going to go to the Star Spring instead and play the Chosen Champion Kha'Zix. I personally feel like unless you are going to pull one of these back to your base, sending both of these to the Waste would have been fine because that would prevent a trade into your Fey Folk. The negative might mean you wouldn't be able to assign any damage. But if you're already planning on pulling something back with Kha'Zix, you don't want to leave a unit by itself. It does look like that's the case. We're going to pull something back with the Star Spring.
Yeah, I like this play. Love the Kha'Zix Chosen Champion and the flexibility it gives.
Yeah.
Combination. What a duo.
Not
Fey Folk
good.
and Kha'Zix pairing up here, and Star Spring playing into June's favor as Fey Folk goes back to base.
I think this guy is just kind of playing this deck. Sorry, Phil.
This game, Inferno goes
I
down.
want to see you do well, but it's just not.
Yeah, I was just about to say, this also signals that they're not likely going for a hold point. June once you pull back the Irresistible Feyfolk, you likely also want to pull back the Kha'Zix. It just gives you the most flexibility. Again, if they had went to the waste and pulled to the wayside, then I think you leave both there so that you're not defending alone.
This is one of the problems is that
But this is the safer path because now you don't have to worry about accelerate options. For example, we see this Kai'Sa played. It could have been accelerated if there was a tasty trade to be made, but it's just going to be develop and pass from Filth to try to set something up for the future.
Yeah, at this point,
is these units stay in the back.
For that Kha'Zix, mutating hard back over to June, moving into Star Spring with Kha'Zix, scoring up to 2-1 now in favor of June. Let's see if there's any tricks for June here with that Feyfolk to potentially try and grab the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, with Assault.
Oh, even
From the
worse, you
Soul
need the
said,
Feyfolk when you have
Master
Feyfolk,
Yi
so this will
finally
pull
with a
Kai'Sa over.
W.
Kha'Zix will
Love to
get
see
triggered.
it.
Ah,
Attacking
well, that makes one of us.
meanwhile, because she is
No,
defending
I like Master Yi. I was actually thinking about playing him.
So this means that even if
Master Yi,
it is not enough to go over the top, does that
I
matter?
fight a lot of them.
June
So,
will win
always like,
more experience points as
they're
well.
my rivals. But I am happy that Master Yi finally got a real honest W.
That is great using
And he's gotten top 8 so many times
Kha'Zix back to base,
that
Vex apathetic as well.
you just can't,
We're behind on point to push. Very tough spot for Filth.
you know, like, when's he going to get there? When's he going to get there?
It has intrigued me a
I
lot.
actually, and I love to see it too. I love to see the E
As a secondary
in there
resource is
and no Irelias.
kind of getting a combination
Not
of
even anywhere close to the top,
and the ability to buff stuff.
to the top one. I think there was one in top 8.
Thanks for the raid Orphix, and welcome you two lovely people. LMT 2014 said, Raid D.
Hey, thank you for the raid.
For the raid LMT 2014, and welcome you one lovely people.
That being said, we're going to see the.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the raid.
I was just going to say that trigger should have happened, but they
Happy to see it. We're gonna get into some games pretty soon. We're just kind of watching how this kind of one plays out.
Into the challenge to take out June's Kha'Zix in the back line. And Darius being ready as Filth played the second card. Conquering
just about to say this also signals that they're not
See.
like want to pull both now.
this Kha'Zix.
I missed that.
A solo unit means they punch in.
Okay.
Legend ability to bring Kha'Zix back to base, develop Vex.
Your kind of Yasuo we just saw from June while also still having enough energy left over to develop cards like Vex. So you can clear things out, buff your units, move things back, and then also still develop on top of it. And I think that this is really where Kha'Zix shines. That being said, we're going to see the Darius played here, and this is going to
They got the Kha'Zix, yeah.
I was just going to say that trigger should have happened, but they beat me to it. It's +3 because
This is okay.
as the second card being played.
This is just not a good match. This is just not a good match for this guy.
June's Kha'Zix in the
Reckless
back line.
Subversion said,
And
I
Darius
view
being
as
ready.
stream boo.
Filth played the second
Com.
card. Conquering Star Spring, 3-2 now. Keep in mind that Filth, all of those runes are exhausted, so no energy to play with.
Now, the good news for Filth is you got to score a point. You got to get rid of.
So we're watching this real quick, and then we're gonna get into some games.
Kind of left your Darius out to dry because you have no.
We're just kind of seeing out because we specialize in Rengar. We're just kind of seeing all these Rengar matches. So there's only 2 that were on stream,
thing to consider here is
and then after this, we're just gonna kind of look over a couple decks.
in the near future. You don't want to be forced into situations where you have to attack into the Forbidding Waste unless you can pull your units back. And so that means that Filth is either going to have to crash into
He is against the ropes. Filth is against the ropes right now. It's not good.
battlefield for the rest of the game. So we are going to see a big buff go onto the Feyfolk.
Oh, wow,
here.
what a
Oh
play.
boy.
That is a 4-might Feyfolk pulling the Darius down into Forbidding Waste. Darius goes down to 3-might. Darius falls in June, conquering a massive
It's
play.
pretty much over at this point.
Filth's board as Vex will score as well at the northern battlefield. Massive turn for June.
Yeah, Vex will end up on that Star Spring, as I had mentioned.
Yeah.
We do also
June gets this one.
waste, but I would not be surprised if we see the Kha'Zix legend ability.
Lucian.
That is
How
exactly,
interesting.
what we're seeing.
Oh yeah, that deck runs Lucian.
We're instead buffing. My apologies. I thought we were going to see it come back, but perhaps with the development of the second Feyfolk, you're fine with letting that one go. You are also kind of enticing Filth to go to the waste anyway.
I just don't see how he's gonna bounce back from here. Just too slow.
So Vex already makes it difficult because it's going to stun anything entering play, but also
That Vex is just too strong.
if you can't get rid of it, you
Ban
can
Vex.
point out of it as well. And so June is very likely going to be going to 7 here because of the presence of the Vex and not a lot of like direct removal. We don't know what the sideboards are. Maybe Filth has sideboarded in something like Falling Star, but the downside with Falling Star is if you use that to take out the Vex, like yes, it gets the job done, but you also have to recycle.
I wonder what a sideboard is.
For the deflect.
Yeah, that would be quite expensive. And we just continue to see Vex absolutely shutting down the Rengar, unable to ambush.
He's dead.
Take out these units. So Rengar just developed on the back line for Filth, passing back over to June. Will hold up to 7.
The 7.
Yeah, this is a hold up to 7, and
The thing that makes this deck so strong is you can just
like a
back.
bit of a retreat back, at least from the Feyfolk side, and just try to hold with the Vex side. The other units available to June are not necessarily might intensive, right? We have 2 Feyfolk and a Lucian, but if June has more combat tricks, right, perhaps more Grim Resolves or their own punch firsts, etc., they might just try to turbo stack on the Star Spring and say, come at me, bro. But we also could see a situation where if you are confident in your ability to retake, you could pull you. We have 2 June.
So Lucian, punch first, certain. You definitely have Lucian at this point for Filth.
Yeah.
Go after
Buy
that.
him back.
Just because punch first certainly.
Put him in.
At this point for Filth. So
And then put that one back.
Star Spring. One Faithful going back, the other Faithful coming in.
So this is actually a fantastic play from June. June puts the Lucian on the Vex at the Star Spring, right? But then June used one of the irresistible Feyfolk to force the Rengar into the Forbidding Waste. Just gives Filth a point, but because June has amassed such a huge point lead, doesn't really matter, but it does strand that Rengar on the Forbidding Waste.
Yeah, that's pretty smart.
To force the Rengar over to the other location, it can no longer attack into the spot that you're trying to hold. And because of Vex Apathetic sitting there, Filth can't accelerate or ambush over there, and it turns off Thrill of the Hunt, so you can't even Thrill of the Hunt your Rengar to the Star Spring. So June is essentially saying, I'm removing any of the ways that you might have to use this trigger. And yeah, so Thrill of the Hunt now. Yep, Thrill of the Hunt now will at least force a recall to allow Filth to maybe set something up for the future, but that was still such a heads-up play from June to force this here out of Filth.
Yeah, very heads-up play for June. The Rengar in the back line once again, so Filth will be able to crack back here on this next turn. We'll have to break that Vex.
Well, June still has potential plays. We do see the 1 card in hand, a lot of runes available. I think the concern now is because the Rengar did make it back to base, June might consider pulling the Vex back just to be safe. But no, we're just going to see a Void Assault and try to force, them to be stranded.
Yeah, just send it back to the Forbidding Waste. Vex still at the Star Spring, and Filth has to figure out a way to get around Vex. June at 7, threatening game.
So this really just comes down to, is there a removal option? So it could be something like a challenge.
Wow.
Again, you're going to have to pay the deflect, so it's kind of power intensive. Falling Star might be an option, though that's going to eat most of your runes, but you have to have some answer for the Vex, or else June just wins off of the hold to 8. The biggest issue for Filth is that even if you do have an answer, you then have to also double conquer that follows immediately after. So you could spend a number of resources to get rid of. Yeah,
that was a miserable match.
With Kha'Zix.
Miserable. All right. I had enough. I did see this really cool Lucian deck that